All right, so this is our quadratic equations packet answer video. Question number 1, you should have gotten H equals 2. H2. Oh, what? All right. Number 2, Dylan said go on, he likes it. Number 2 is E, -3 and 1/2. Okay. Number 3 is D, plus and -4. Plus and -4. Oof, somebody says. All right, number 4 is B, -1. Number 5. Did Haley just say she finally got one right? I mean, nobody will know, I promise. I hit pause. I did hit pause. Number 5 is J0. J0.
Have you ever seen the middle?
Yes.
If you were to break like these.
Yeah. That's kind of an ongoing joke between my wife and I where we put our head down and whisper to ourselves. All right, number 6 is B, x equals 0 or x equals 7/3. Number 7 is H, -2. Okay. Number 8 is D, x is less than -2 or x is greater than, if I can read it, 3/4. Number 9, K is 25. 25. All right, if I can flip this around. Number 10 is F, -2c and 8c. I think we did. So we've had this 3 times?
Yeah, because it's like,
That means it's important.
Yeah. Importanto. I don't know that that's the Spanish for important, but that's, no. It's George W. Bush Spanish for important. It's importanto. Number 11 is K is 7. Okay? Number 12 is also K. Multiply and remove parentheses. Parenthesis.
Oh, that's number what?
Number 12 was K.
keep up the program, Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan. Number 13 is F, -11. Number 14 is H, 2. Oh. 15. 15 is D, 4x squared minus 3x. 16 is A, x minus 2 times x plus 3 equals 0. Number 17, G, -3 and 4. 18, G, -9. 19 is E, 5, 3. Number 20, I think this is our last page, right? Okay, number 20. If 2x squared plus 6x equals 36, what are the possible values of x? G, -6 and 3. And finally, 21. K, 1, 2, and 3. All right, does anybody need any of those repeated? Okay.
I didn't do as bad as I
8.
thought.
I got 8 right.
Got 8 of them right. Okay, cool. All right, let's look at this first page, 1 through 4. Haley? 1? Good, because that's one I actually have worked down here that I can follow. 1? All right, for what non-zero whole number k does the quadratic equation x squared plus k squared x plus 2k equals 0 have exactly one real solution for x? So a couple of things I'm going to look at in here is that the fact that this is plus, and plus. So that if I break this down, and because that's x squared, I have to get x there and there. So far, does that part of it make sense? Okay. And this should be, if I'm following my stuff here right, plus and plus. And the easiest thing I think to see is if we're looking at these two things right here, that because it has to have exactly one real solution, that whatever I put here has to be the same as what I put here. Because if I have two different numbers, then I have two real solutions, right? But I want exactly one real solution. So I'm looking at something that whenever I square it, comes out the same as whenever I multiply it by 2. You follow me? Because this is 2 times k, has to be equal to k times itself. All right? Well, is negative 4 squared the same as 2 times negative 4? You could try this out. Like if we plugged in negative 4 here and negative 4 here, for instance. Okay, what that's going to end up giving me is I'm going to get negative 4x plus negative 4x. Well, that's not going to give me a positive, right? And that's what I saw. If I can, that was a positive right there. So a negative number isn't going to work,
See what you're saying now.
right?
The k squared has to equal 2 times k.
Right.
Right.
K squared has to equal 2 times k. Okay, so if I plug in negative 2, so you can really just kind of go through here and try these numbers out and see why they don't work. Okay, k plus negative 2 and negative 2, well, that's going to be negative 2x plus negative 2x, which is going to be negative 4x, and you're going to end up with negative 8. So the first number that actually does work is 2, because it allows me k plus 2, or sorry, x plus 2 times x plus 2, okay, comes out to 4x, okay, plus 2 times 2, which is still 4, okay, and that gives me one real solution, and the one real solution is x plus 2 equals 0, so x equals negative 2, and that's a real solution. It's the only one that's going to give me one real solution. Everything else doesn't match up with the equation. Right. Well, not even necessarily fake. And you could do probably even some different things. You probably could have used your quadratic equation, which is your negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, which we'll use for some of these. All right, so does that clear that up a little bit? All right, anything else, 2 through 4? Number 3. All right, if the equation x squared plus cx plus 3 equals 0 has two real solutions, so it has to be two different things, both of which are integers, which of the following choices lists all possible values of c? Now these have to be 0. Okay. So let's see if I try this. All right, so let's look at what they give me. So it's x, right, because that's x squared. Notice that this is 3. All right, well, that's a prime number, which means one of these has to be 3 and one of these has to be 1, correct? All right, and what are my operations on the inside? Plus and plus, because it's plus here and plus there. Okay, so plus and plus. Okay, so far I have two real solutions, but which of the following choice lists all possible values of c? Okay, so now let's go ahead and FOIL this back out where it's going to give me x squared, right, x times x, and then I'm going to get plus 3x plus 1x. So that's plus 4x plus 3, right? And so that matches and that matches. So what is in for the c value here? 4. Okay, now it's more than just 4 because as I'm trying to think of how I can explain this so you understand that it's positive and negative 4. Well, here's the issue is that if x equals -1, right? So if we plugged in -1 for x, okay, then -1 times -1 would be +1. It'd still match up with x squared, but 4 times -1 would be a -4. Okay, so that's how I can get a positive and a -4 there, right? And yes, you could plug this into your quadratic equation where we've got 1 here. So let's see, that's going to give me, -4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared, so on and so forth. But that's how I'm getting that -4 in that. All right, anybody need 4? You needed 4? Okay, hopefully I can do this. All right, if y equals 10 minus x plus 1 squared, for what real value of x will y have its maximum value? What I did with this is I just plugged them in, right, and saw what's going to give me the largest number. All right, that's really, it doesn't take that much time to do. So, 10 minus -2 plus 1 squared. All right, well, -2 plus 1 is -1. -1 squared is 1. 10 minus 1 is 9, right? All right, 10 minus -1 plus 1. Okay, those are going to cancel out. I'm going to get 0 squared, right? So 10 minus 0 is 10. Okay, plug in 0. 0 plus 1. Okay, that's giving me, again, 10 minus 1, right? So I wind up back with 9. Okay, we can do 1. Okay, that's 1 plus 2 squared. Or sorry, 1 plus 1 squared is 2. Then I'm taking 10 minus 4. So I'm getting 6. Okay, and we want a maximum. So right now, so far, it looks like 10. So you'll notice that that's my number. Everything else is going to be subtracting from it, right? So I actually want to subtract as little as possible. Okay, which is why, where was I at there? -1 so far is going to give me my maximum. Because if I do 2 plus 1, I'm getting 3. 3 squared is 9. I'm actually only getting an answer of 1 there. So I'm not going to get a maximum. All right? There may be a quicker way to get there, but if I'm looking for a maximum, I really do pretty much have to test everything. All right? All right. Let's see. Number 5. 5 through 9. Yeah, Ryan? 5. What is the product of x and y coordinates if the rightmost xy coordinate plane where 2x squared plus x minus 2a crosses the x-axis? Okay, so when we're crossing the x-axis, okay, so I want you to imagine that. Right? If I'm crossing the x-axis, then I'm getting a number for x, I'm getting 0 for y, right? So take that and apply it up here. So y would have to equal 0, all right? So I'm getting 2x squared plus x minus 28 equals 0. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to factor that down, right? So if I've got, and I can't take anything out of all of it, but I know I'm going to get 2x and x. In order for me to multiply two things and get a negative, I'm going to have a positive and a negative, right? Okay. Okay, let's see. And we need a difference of really just 1. So looks like maybe, let's see, 28 divided by 4. Was that 4 and 7? So let's try this. Let's try 4 here and 7 here, right? Because 2x times 4 is going to be 8x, plus -7x is going to give me +1. -7 times 4 is going to be -28. So far, does that make sense? Okay, so we understand how to get that. What is the product of x and y coordinates of the rightmost point in the standard xy coordinate plane? So let's do this. Let's go ahead and solve for x. So we've got 2x minus 7 equals 0. So that's going to be add 7 and divide by 2, right? So x equals 7/2. Over here, x equals -4. Okay? But notice it says we want the coordinates what is the product of the x and y coordinates of the rightmost point in the standard coordinate plane where it crosses the x-axis? So it would have to be 7/2 because this is to the left. Okay, that is to the right. So 7, or let's see. Well, okay, now we're not quite done. Notice that 7/2 is in the answer sheet, but it's not the answer because it says what is the product of the x and y coordinates. So I'm going to show you why we didn't have to do all of this work. Okay, because my coordinates are 7/2 and 0, but it says what is the product? So it's 0. And it was always going to be 0 because y was always going to be 0, and anything times 0 is going to be 0, right? So my answer was always going to be 0. But hopefully we walk away from it understanding the question better, right? Okay. 6, 7, 8, or 9?
7.
7? Is that what you said, Ryan? 7, 7. Okay. If the solution to the equation x plus a times x plus b equals x equals 6 and x equals -4, then what is a plus b? Okay? All right, so what they are saying here is that x is 6 plus a plus -4 plus b. Is that correct? But it equals 0. I got this right? Yeah, I just got an answer here. So, all right, we're going to try our best here. Okay, so let's start off with this. Let's take 6 times -4, -24, right? Plus 6b plus -4a.
You just set those both equal to 0, and then maybe 6 and -6 plus 4.
Yeah, you could do that, and that may be even a better way to do it. Thank you. So 6 plus a equals 0. So a equals -6. -4 plus b equals 0. So b equals 4, right? And so then it says, what is a plus b? Well, that's -6 plus 4. That gets you your -2. Sorry. Like when you don't have any notes. Yep. All right, so that's the quickest way to go with that route. Okay. 8 or 9? 8. All right. For what values of x is 4 squared plus 5x minus 6 positive? Okay. Let's try this. Okay, I think what I want to do with this is rather than trying to factor it that way because it's complex, is let's actually use that quadratic equation. So negative b is going to be -5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 4 times -6 all over 2 times 4. Okay? We've got -5 plus or minus. We got 25. Let's see, what is -16 times -6?
96.
96 plus 25? Or is that the whole thing?
Just -4 times 4 times 26 equals 96.
Okay, but we're going to take the 5 squared, so it actually will be, let's see, it's 25 minus, so it's actually 25 plus 96, 121. And what's nice about that is that that's a perfect square, right? So let's go ahead and just fix that up. -5 plus or minus 11 divided by 8. All right, we want the positive solution. So -5 minus 11, right, that's going to be -16 divided by 8, the -2, right? So we want the positive. So we're going to take -5 plus 11, which is 6, right? 6 divided by 8 is 3/4, All right, so 3/4. If I look at the answer key, we know that for what values is it going to be that? Well, x would have to be, what we're saying is that x has to be greater than 3/4. Let's see, or, I'm looking in and I'm trying to understand, or less than -2. All right, because -2 is our other answer, right? Okay, and so let's see why, well, anyways, it's got to fit between those two numbers. It's got to fit between the two values. Hold on. I got less, let me change that. All right, that's what we should get. We're going to use both those. X is less than -2, or x is greater than 3/4. Okay, and you can, here's what if you're asking, well, why is it less than -2? Go ahead and try -2. All right, because here's where we're squaring it. So that's going to be that, 4 times 4 is that 16 plus -10 minus 6. That's going to be equal to 0. But if it's less than -2, let's say it's -3, right? Because I'm squaring it, that's allowing me to take 4 times 9, right? It's actually making a bigger number so that I'm still winding up positive. Or it has to be greater than 3/4. So do we understand how those inequalities work the way they do? Let's see, what time are we out of here? We only got like 2 minutes. What I may have to do is stop here and do the rest of them with the other class and then post both videos. So if you have questions about the rest of the packet, you can watch part 2. I would say hold on to it, and I'll turn them in tomorrow after you've been able to look at everything. Okay? All right. We'll go ahead and pause right there, or stop it.